Hello, I'm your host, Mark Peikert, and you are tuned in to this week's episode of Take a Load Off, the weekly YouTube series where I get to talk to amazing entrepreneurs about how they have turned their passions into their professions. As always, we are sponsored by legendaryloads.com. That's legendaryloads.com, the all-natural supplement that promises to make every man's load more legendary. This week, we have photographer Mark Hersh, who has done some amazing work with some adult stars. That's how he first came to my attention. I'm sure that none of you have had that same experience. Let's bring him on now.
How's it going?
Just two Marks hanging out and chatting. I love it. I'm really excited that you came on board to do this today, because you are someone who's really making a name for himself in the adult world right now. Certainly a Mark E. Hersh photograph is a badge of honor on everyone's Instagram page.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
How did you start working so much with the adult models like Cole Connor and Chris Damned, Bo Butler?
I was living in Palm Springs when I just started doing photography, shooting models 2.5 years ago. So I was shooting some porn stars out in Palm Springs, and COVID hit, and I relocated back to where I'm from in Orange County, and I had a studio in LA, and I was literally just reaching out to people on Instagram, like, "Hey, do you want to collab?" Luckily, they liked my work, and then it just one knew another and another, and I was getting messages from people like, "I've seen you shot this person. I like your work. I want to shoot with you," and it just kind of morphed into what it is. So yeah, I'm honored that they're happy with the work, and other people are as well. So
I think the thing that sets your work apart that so many of the models and fans have responded to is you're very good at finding the playful and the erotic and vice versa.
Thank you. I try.
Well, that's one of the things when I did a series similar to this with adult stars last year. One of the things that really resonated with me as the host and with viewers was how fun these guys are. And you don't expect someone who looks like Chris Damned to be a giant French goofball.
Right.
But he is. He's extremely funny and a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And I think that what your photographs do so well is you find that and bring it to the forefront with so many of those guys.
Yeah, I try. I mean, I tend to like to sit down and spend at least a half an hour just chatting. So that way it loosens both of us up. We get to kind of get familiar with one another, and I kind of get a glimpse into their personality. So with like Chris, for example, he's super into fashion, which is fun because it wasn't just, we incorporated some of that, into what we were shooting. So, and I always want to get an idea of like, what are you shooting for? What platforms? Are we doing Instagram? Are we doing Twitter? Are we doing OnlyFans? Are we doing everything? So, and that kind of gives me a roadmap into how the shoot's going to go. So, yeah, gives me, I think it gives me a chance to kind of get to see their personality, because I like to incorporate that into what I'm doing.
I mean, you come from a fashion background. How has that helped with this new portion of your career?
I kind of look at things almost editorially versus it being just a nude photo shoot. Like, there's an artistic aspect of it, I'd like to hope, that kind of sets me apart from a lot of the other people that are just shooting gratuitous nude pictures. Yeah, so there's lighting involved, there's some wardrobe involved. Models will generally bring things that they want to shoot in. I'll go through it with them and actually kind of style it a little bit. There's brands that they want to shoot in. So I'm very familiar with product placement. So, that's one of the first questions I ask. And I have no problem doing that for them. So, um, yeah, I mean, I kind of try to shoot it like it would be an ad campaign almost.
That comes across, especially when you compare it to the photos that the studios are still releasing of their models, where it's a fixed grin, a rictus grin.
Yeah,
Everything is like too shiny from Photoshop, and it's just a dick sticking straight up. And you're like, this looks like the most uncomfortable 5 seconds that you managed to get this one shot.
yeah, yeah. I've actually been hoping studios would reach out, be like, "Hey, do you want to be like our staff photographer?" But I haven't heard
I mean,
yet.
there's no reason why they shouldn't, except all of them are also the cinematographers and the producers of the shows, and so
Right.
they have a real stranglehold on that. But they're not doing themselves any favors because they're not showing the talent to their best abilities, which I think is another reason why people are really coming to you for content, because you have something, you have a knack for identifying what sets them apart from everyone else and bringing that to the forefront.
Thank you. Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about your work in particular is you have these running motifs, you have these running setups. The champagne bottle exploding is one that I always think of. How did that first come about for you?
That's a funny one. I had seen a picture on Instagram and I wanted to kind of recreate it. And the first test shoot I did was when I was in Palm Springs. And it was in my shower with a black cloth background taped to the ceiling. I had taken the doors off the shower and basically just we went through about 10 bottles of champagne. The poor model was just dripping in sticky champagne that I got it from Trader Joe's at like $2 a bottle. It reeked. But I was able to figure out lighting and things like that. So it's kind of people have now gotten familiar with the champagne shots. For a while when I was doing it, um, they hadn't, so it was new to them. It was something fun. Like I Cole Connors. I don't know if you saw his champagne picture,
Mhm.
but just the look on his face, I thought was classic because he was just so shocked that it hit him underneath the chin and just exploded, and he was um. So I shoot at a really high shutter speed so I can get that
Yeah.
one shot. Like Chris's picture, you can tell he was having a blast. Everyone like that's I end with that one because you need a shower afterwards. Um, and placement of the bottle is it's we've had some mishaps. We've had to reshoot. So I always have a couple bottles on hand. Um, my my wall in my old studio was a disaster. It looked like a cum wall, basically. I mean, there was going down, and no matter how much I scrubbed it, I couldn't get it all off, and it was literally dripping from the ceiling. But it's just a fun shot. Like I had people over New Year's that I had shot over a year ago messaging me saying, "I'm finally getting to use this shot. I've been saving it."
I mean, that's one of the reasons that it really came to my attention how often you do it so brilliantly. Your Instagram over New Year's Eve was just guy after guy after guy. And every single one of them brought his own personality to that same shot, which I think is so genius and such a testament to your abilities with talent.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I, it's they all have different. Everyone has a different personality, obviously, and we see them. Um, and I think it's coming through more with like Instagram, where they're doing more personal things and they're doing stories, and you're getting to see like their personalities. Where before it was just a photo, and you have this image of what they are on film and on camera, and you really don't know who they are. And I was surprised as I was starting to meet them. Like, they're super nice. They're goofy. They're real people, and we kind of put them on this pedestal. And we have all these preconceived notions of like what they're going to be like, or if they're going to be divas, or
Yeah.
and there's a few out there, but um, but for the most part, it's been really cool. Great people. Like we stay in touch. Um, they're busy as I am now. So shooting again. A lot of people want to do more shoots. It's just a matter of now my schedule and their schedule. But yeah, it's been um, it's been an interesting experience for sure.
Has this become your primary photography project?
Yeah, so I used to do landscapes. I used to print 6 feet by 4 feet on canvas. I still do. Um, and I've got a gazillion of them. So I kind of was always really afraid to shoot models. So I just decided to dive in and do it. And it's just taken off. My Instagram page took off. Um, I have a website now. So I've kind of been pushed in that direction just by feedback and by the response I've been getting from it. So yeah, that's I guess where we're going.
Well, what prompted you to get over your fear of shooting models?
um, I moved to Palm Springs. There's a big leather community there,
Mhm.
and I just didn't understand it. So I thought, what better way to understand it than to start shooting people like in leather and involved in the leather community? So that's what I started doing. And just kind of went from there. So it went from my Instagram page went from like landscapes to landscape, then a leather guy, and then a landscape, and then and then the leather guys and half naked men would get thousands of likes, and I'd have five for my other photography. So it just kind of eventually morphed into what it is now, and battling with Instagram about um, censorship and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah, I mean that's such a huge part of working in anything even tangentially related to the adult world is people have no concept of how pervasive it is down to you can't even search someone's handle.
mm,
It
well,
doesn't pop up.
we're all shadow banned. So
Yes.
as much as they deny that ever that exists, if I go on to another account of mine and search for my page, it doesn't come up unless I enter the entire Instagram handle. So don't tell me shadow banning doesn't exist.
And it's so I think that we're finally in the last 2 years turning a corner in terms of not being ashamed to follow porn stars on our personal accounts anymore, which is fantastic because that is a huge part of them creating a brand and then being successful. And if you go into any, I say this every episode, I swear, I don't mean to, but if you go into any gay bar, odds are they're playing gay porn behind the bar.
Right.
So it's a huge part of our culture, and yet we're so nervous to let anyone know the porn stars that we follow. I say follow them all. Stop following brands, follow porn stars. They need it more.
Well, and now they're a brand. I mean, they're consciously looking at how they're marketing. And I mean, OnlyFans really kind of turned the page on how they gave them control of their careers. My feeling on that, and I kind of my job is to help them, market themselves and how they want to do that, and that's part of the conversations that I have with people before we shoot. Um, so that my shots are cohesive with what the direction they want to go
Yeah, of course. What makes a good model for you?
in. What makes a good model? Really, it's just being comfortable with yourself. One, um, knowing mean, obviously, it's easier to shoot people that are in front of a camera for a living because
Yeah.
they know their angles, they know um, very little directions kind of needed. It's a little tougher. I've shot people that have never done it. Some are naturals, some aren't. Um, and it's not necessarily. I mean, body's not it really. I think that it's a confidence that kind of comes through, and there's so many different types of people. There are people that are attracted to now, and people aren't being body shamed like they used to be. You know, daddies and bears, and um, I try. I've been complimented for how inclusive my page is. I don't see that, but I try. I shoot a lot of people, and I try to. It's interesting. I've shot private clients, and they're like, "I don't mind if you post this on Instagram or post this one picture on Instagram. I just kind of want to see how it performs." And I'm like, "Sure," and it does really well. So it's nice to see that everyone, the people are responding to every body type, whether it's, the hairless twink isn't doing as well as they used to. People's tastes are changing, and um, yeah, I forgot where I was going on that train of
No,
thought.
I think the changing tastes is such a key component of this whole radical shift we've seen since the rise of fan platforms, where I think it's less that people's tastes are changing and more that now people have options because you give people what they haven't said that they want and they're going to consume it voraciously.
Right.
And for so long, porn was very smooth, very muscular, very chiseled jaw. And God knows we still have plenty of that, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a classic like Chanel, but we're also getting completely different looks. I mean, Chris, not to harp on Chris Jammed all the time, but oh my God, he's kind of at the forefront of what I think of as the new porn star, where he's drop dead gorgeous, but then covered in tattoos.
Mhm.
And that's not something that we would normally see
They're out there.
go so viral as we have.
They're out there. I mean, there's a few that I've seen, um, but they're not to harp on Chris, but he's got this um, air air about him that isn't. Um, he's not threatening.
Yeah.
He, it's yeah. He has tattoos on his face and his body, but yet there's something about him that's not off-putting and scary. So he's balanced that really well.
It's
Uh,
the skirts.
sorry.
It's the skirts.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, and it's it's not just that. I mean, I think that he's been very smart in his marketing. I think that a lot of them have been,
Oh yeah.
and the ones that the ones that are doing really really well. Um, and then there's some that just don't understand social media, and it seems like they're just happy doing the studio stuff. And um, I've gotten some feedback like, I don't understand why my Instagram isn't, you know, taking off. I'm like, well, all you do is take selfies of yourself on set, so it's not very interesting. Like I think I think it's nice to have a balance of both and kind of bounce between the two. And like with stories, I mean,
Oh yeah.
they're the stories are amazing for them just because they can get their they can get their personalities out there and be goofy and be themselves, and people can see that, and people are responding to that. And I think that's kind of where the OnlyFans came in, where they can do what they want to do on their own terms, and really be able to form their brand and form what they want to do, and it puts them, it's empowering to them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So, as someone who does this for a living,
yeah,
what is your advice for how one can take the best dick pic to text out upon the apps?
it's all about angles.
It all is. Everything is all about angles.
Yeah, I mean, ideally for a dick pic. um, so yeah, if you do, it's angles. It's getting the right angle to. You don't want to misrepresent yourself,
No,
but
nobody likes that.
yeah, you don't want to catfish these people. But there's, yeah, it's. I mean, I have to say, I don't have the most flattering dick pics. I'm just lazy. I, I,
Oh, I cannot be bothered.
yeah, like I do this too much that, yeah, I put, I should be, I should be fined for as much effort as I put into stuff like that for myself. But doing it all day, it's a hard job.
It's like working at the ice cream factory.
Exactly.
After a long day of work at the ice cream factory, sometimes you just want to have some olives.
Right?
And so, my final question as we wrap up is you're someone who's taken a passion and turned it into a profession. What gets you off about what you're doing now?
um, Gets me off with what I'm doing. Um, the best is the response. The best response actually is from the models themselves. Every time I send out my final my final edits, I'm super nervous. I'm like, they're gonna hate them.
Of
They're not
course.
I'm not gonna hear back from them. So when I get emails back and messages back and see them posting, that's kind of what really keeps me going with wanting to do this, and just all the comments from people, and um, yeah, it's the recognition. Um, it's been pretty fast, so
Yeah.
um, yeah. Considering I just started shooting really um, seriously 2 years ago during the pandemic, um, it's it's been pretty quick. So I'm enjoying it, and you have to enjoy what you're doing to keep doing it. So I mean, if I weren't enjoying it, I would probably I would probably think twice about it. But
Well, you'd have better dick pics.
yeah, I would have better I have all the lighting, so
Well, I can't say how much I've enjoyed having you on today and talking to you finally. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You're the Richard Avedon of gay porn.
thank
You
you.
brought movement to those photos, and Dinah Vreeland and I thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me. Thank all of you for watching. And tune in next week for another episode of Take a Load Off.